Hey everybody, welcome back to Wicked Good Sports. I'm your host, Brian Marr, and I'm joined, as always, for the At the Buzzer segment by Jack Tiernan. Jack, how you doing?
Brian, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on again.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on. So we usually talk Celtics, or sometimes we talk about Steph Curry when he's lighting it up, which he hasn't stopped doing since we've last
No.
spoken. But today we want to get in on what a few years ago would have just been like hammering the trending topics of the Ball family, but I think things have settled down a little bit. But you want to talk a little bit about Lamelo Ball and if he can win Rookie of the Year coming back off an injury.
Man, Lamelo, let's start with this. The reason that he was so highly touted to begin with was because of
Mm,
that name, right? The whole Ball
correct.
family was
Yeah.
the big deal. Mostly LeVar, honestly. And LeVar is kind of like nobody cares about LeVar. He's a psycho now. So,
Mm. But
um,
at the time, amazing marketer. At
oh
the
my
time, he
God,
went from
yeah.
nothing to being on ESPN talking shit. I can beat Michael Jordan 1-on-1. But
That's
yeah.
you're right. It's kind of like a head turning method, but it worked, right? Look
Hmm.
at, I mean, all of his boys got drafted probably higher, at least Lonzo, probably higher than he should
Right.
have been, And then there's LaMelo, who looks like he should have been drafted
Mm.
probably higher than he should have been, um, higher than he was, rather. But LaMelo is one of the pretty much someone said it. I think it was Stephen A. said that LaMelo is what we were all promised Lonzo would be, and I
That's
was
a
like,
nice
wow,
thought.
that's
That's
way
true.
too, yeah, it's way too real, man. I'm just like,
Hmm.
okay, that's super accurate. Lamelo's flashy. He's got like elite ball handling skills. Obviously, court
Hmm.
vision is like otherworldly, man. I think watching that and watching his performance, even without missing a beat, really, from being out a month and a half, is
Hmm.
just it's that's deserving in my book. If I had to pick, his only other competition is like Anthony Edwards on the T Wolves, and
Hmm.
that's a bad team, frankly. And now the Hornets team is on the fringe of the playoffs.
Yeah, so I guess, like, what is LaMelo meant to this Hornets team, especially coming down the stretch, like you said, being on the verge of the playoffs?
Yeah, so the Hornets as a team are pretty gritty, right? They're kind of like we had a couple of guys. Basically, they're Boston 2.0 now, right? They've
Right,
got
right.
Terry Rozier, Brad Wanamaker, Gordon Hayward. Somehow find a way to bring this back to Boston,
Hmm. Of
of
course,
course.
gotta.
But right, have to represent here.
Hmm.
Um, so you add you've got scoring threats in Hayward and Rozier. You've got a floor general now on LaMelo Ball, who really can
Hmm.
run the offense and let Terry Rozier play off ball a little bit, which is more of his game as is.
Hmm.
Um, so I think, man, I think he's the piece that these guys need. The thing with the Hornets is that they're super explosive and their defense is like probably middle of the pack. I would say I don't know where they
Right,
rank defensively in the league right now, but I don't think that they're anything special. They've got to score a lot of points to win, though. Basically,
right,
um,
right.
with Lamelo at the helm, though, it's a lot easier to do that than forcing Terry into the one and having him distribute because now Terry can
Hmm.
just shoot his shot while Lamelo can do everything else.
Right, yeah, so I guess I want to talk a little bit about his stats since he's been back.
Yeah. So he's been, I mean, since he's been back, I'm looking at his stats here. Clearly on an upward swing, which is awesome.
Hmm.
His first three games back were 11 points, 14 points, 23 points.
Hmm.
Rebounds and steals all relatively like standard. Like he's got 2 7 rebound games, couple of averages like 6.5 assists a game since he's been back. Those are some pretty good numbers. Those aren't pedestrian by any means. You're
Hmm.
putting up 17 points a game on an already loaded offensive team. I mean, you got Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, again, Gordon Hayward is back. So it's like, man, the fact that he's able to still put up these numbers after being gone for essentially a month and just come
Hmm.
right back in and slot into that offense, I think says a lot about him as a player, as well as
Yeah.
that team.
So what do you think their chances are to make the playoffs now that he's back?
I think they're in almost
Hmm.
100%. They'll definitely get into the play-in game, and I think that if you've got everybody 100%, I think it's a pretty good chance to play. I don't. There's still so much going on with the play-ins right now, where like the seeding in the East is so close from like the fourth seed down, basically.
Hmm.
You got Milwaukee in no particular order. It's Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Milwaukee is the top three seeds, pretty much locked.
Hmm.
And then four down, you've got like the Knicks, Atlanta, etc. And it's kind of all a jumble, right? They're all within like 2, 3 games of each other.
Hmm.
So I don't know where the Hornets are going to land up. They might play the Celtics. They might play Atlanta. Those are probably the two likeliest. And I think honestly, the Hornets in the play-in game could. There's a good chance they could beat both.
Right. So I guess what do you think it would mean for his, I guess, campaign? I don't know if that's the right word, but what do you think it would
Yeah,
mean
I
for
think
his
so.
odds to win Rookie of the Year? You know, given he's missed time, if he's able to come back and lead the Hornets to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think odds is probably better. I think you're right.
Mm,
But I think if he can come back and lead them to the playoffs, I think I'm gonna campaign for him against Ant Edwards, right? Because
right.
those are kind of the two front runners at this point. Tyrese Halliburton's good too, but he's definitely like second fiddle to both of them.
Right.
It sucks, but it is what it is. Anyway, Ant Edwards is a decent player on a bad team who's already kind of got, they've already got their stars. I think Lamelo is emerging as a star on a team that already is loaded and didn't at least before this season have an identity of like, okay, who can we run this offense through,
Mm,
right? Again, in Minnesota, you have Karl Anthony Towns, you've got D'Angelo Russell, who granted got over there last season in a trade, but like he just kind of slotted in Anthony Edwards, that is, and hasn't really made that much of an impact compared to Lamelo, who comes in and you see highlights of Lamelo on SportsCenter, on
mm,
ESPN all the time. Granted, that's just your reporting, but um,
right.
even still, I think Lamelo is just. I think he's got the explosiveness, he's got the brand recognition. I think he's got everything.
Yeah. So hey, we'll see, right? Little
Yeah,
transition
true.
here. So from one fringe playoff team to another, again, we're going to go back to Steph Curry. We had a
Yeah,
conversation earlier in the week, texting back and forth about what qualifies an MVP. Because, like, if you're individually great, but your team doesn't have success, does that warrant you being the MVP? And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, especially when it, pertains to Steph Curry.
man, I love this discussion. I love this debate, right?
Mm,
Because there are a lot of ways you can look at it, and I don't think there's one correct way. I think it
right.
depends. And then it comes back to, okay, what weighs differently on a certain team, right? Because Steph Curry. Let's talk Steph Curry, because the
Mm,
dude is putting this team on his back, and it still might not be enough. So
right.
you have to respect his effort, right? You have
Mm,
to say, okay, Steph is having an unbelievable season. He's putting up like 40 points a game,
right.
but the team's not good. So, okay, is Steph the most valuable player to this team that isn't going to go anywhere in the playoffs? Or
Mm,
do you look towards a team that is surging right now with one clear distributor and contributor? I can say that for Jokic, for example,
mm,
because he's probably the only other guy Steph has to compete with, aside from Embiid, maybe.
yeah.
Um, but you got Jokic, who does literally everything, man. He averages like 10 assists a game, 10
Mm,
rebounds a game. Like, it puts up stupid points, and that was when he was with Jamal Murray. Now that Jamal's gone, he's still going crazy. Like, they won,
mm,
I think it was like they went 8-2 without Jamal after he tore his ACL or whatever it was.
right. Right.
Um, I think that quantifies, like, look, you're able to put a good team on your back compared to Steph, who is trying to put a bad team on his back, and the result is very different. So I mean, if I had to pick, I think my MVP is Jokic. I think
Right.
Steph is, I think Steph's elite. I think he's great, but it hasn't been enough.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's hard because it reminds me quite a bit about Adrian Peterson the year he won MVP. He ran for
Yeah.
2,000 yards. He literally did everything he possibly could and
Yeah.
was rewarded with Joe Webb starting a playoff game against
Oh
the
my god.
Packers, which went
Stop.
very poorly. Um, for everyone who remembers that, and it's just a hard thing because like MVP, the most valuable player, but if the value isn't there, if your team doesn't get anywhere, what
Right.
is the value? What, like it's not best offensive player, it's not, most explosive player, most
Right.
entertaining player. It's supposed to be because it's valuable, it's supposed to have an inherent value, and that value is success. And if your team is still losing, then you're not as valuable. I don't know. I'd love to
That's
hear
man.
people like sign,
Yeah.
kind of debate us on that, but I don't know.
No, I'm with you, man. I agree completely, but I like hearing the other side of the argument. I'd like to hear something come back from us.
Yeah, because I mean, of course, the other side is if Steph Curry wasn't there, what would this team look like? I mean, we got a little bit of that last year, right, where they
Oh
were
God, yeah,
really bad. Um, but
a gross team.
yeah, so it's like what I think it comes back to what how do you measure value in sports,
Yeah,
and I think it's playoff appearances. I think it's team success, and if your team isn't having success, then what you're providing doesn't have inherent value. Is that fair to say?
yeah, I think so. I mean, you can put up 40 points a night and not make the playoffs. What value do you have? You
Mm-hmm.
know, I know it's shitty to say because Steph is an elite player, right?
Yeah.
But um, man, just everybody around him is still so bad. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, it's been a really strange and disappointing like end to this Warriors team that looked
I
like they
know,
were just
man.
gonna dominate forever.
And I'm sure we can. I'm gonna tease this a little bit, right? Though you think about what value did Kevin Durant have for that team? Was Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Durant the reason of their success after their first championship? And would they have
Right.
made it even that far without him?
Yeah, I mean, Finals MVP for Durant, like during that
Right.
run, he really was a huge part. No pun intended. Obviously, he's a giant man, but he really was a big part of that team and a big part of their success. And without him, it's been surprising to say the least to
Yeah.
see the Warriors struggle so much. So, I mean, those are our opinions, and we'd love to hear yours in the comments
Yeah.
down below. Are we idiots? Are we looking at this wrong? Because I do think there are different awards, maybe not in basketball necessarily, but there are different like accolades that you can give to players like who do pop off statistically, but aren't providing that value. I think it's a different tier for the MVP. Um,
Yeah.
but hey, like I said, I'd love to hear about it. Jack, is there anything else you want to touch on before we get on out of here?
No, man. I think that's it. I guess I hold your breath if you're a Celtics fan because we got a bumpy couple of weeks coming up, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the win we have a lot more like discussions about the Celtics going forward. If not, we'll find
Yeah.
stuff to talk about. I'm sure
Of course.
with the playoffs. But Jack, thank you so much for your time. And where can they find you online?
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it, man. So easiest place to find me with some awful Celtics takes probably are Jack_Tiernan at twitter.com. It's not an email address, but go follow me on Twitter. Um, I've got some potentially good, potentially very bad Celtics takes. Go give me a look. Tell me how you think.
And you can follow me online on Twitter at the fake BMR, this BMARR. I probably just have bad takes about everything, let alone the Celtics. So if you're into that, check me out there.
Fire you up.
Yeah, exactly.
If nothing else.
Anything else? You can follow us the channel as a whole on Twitter at WGEverything, on Instagram at WickedGetEverything, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/WickedGetEverything. Yeah, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey, thanks so much for watching that clip. If you liked it, hey, maybe subscribe here on Wicked Good Sports, where we have a lot of videos, a lot of sports talk coming real soon. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe check out our podcasting channel, Better Radio, or our main channel, youtube.com/WickedGoodEverything. This channel is, of course, Wicked Good Sports. You can find us on Twitter at WGEverything, on Instagram at Wicked Good Everything, on Twitch at twitch.tv/WickedGoodEverything, and on TikTok, search Wicked Good Everything. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.